for truth.
Welcome to Duality Check, a podcast where two brothers embark on a journey through the realms of scientific inquiry, the mysteries of the past, and the uncharted frontiers of spirituality. Join us as we explore the wonders of our world and beyond, all while embracing the roles of curious bystanders rather than experts. Together, we'll unravel the tapestry of existence, blending the dichotomies of knowledge and wonder. Get ready to question, ponder, and delve into the dualities that shape our understanding of reality on Duality Check. I'm Drew.
And I'm Dean. Welcome to episode number 58.
58. All right, so we probably gonna do a lot of aliens today.
Yeah.
UFO, alien stuff. I'm sure it'll spin off into whatever our brains come up with in the moment, but
for sure.
We tend to do a lot of long segments on anything. But yeah, welcome back to this week's episode. It's been a long week. We're recording this a little later than usual.
Yeah, we normally record on Fridays, and we're on a Sunday right now.
Yeah.
So. Had a few events this weekend that caused a little postponing. I'm a little wiped. More drinking in a weekend than I usually do.
True. Well, me not so much. It was funny. We were at our parents' friends' local bar on Friday. That's why we postponed initially, and I kept trying to get a beer, but it was actually their closing, kind of like it was their last day of being opened, and
they were so busy that
they were very busy.
Self-port tap house, so you have to purchase this card in order to use the taps, and they ran out of cards.
They ran out of cards, and my dad had a card, and my dad, he's just the most like outgoing guy, right? So we're all standing there at this tap, and we're like, he's like, I just got to go have him activated again. So I'm standing there at the tap. Everybody else got their beer. They're back at the table.
He's like having a bunch of different conversations with people.
He walks away. He's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get you. I'll go. And he's like, and I look over, and he's having a conversation with somebody. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go sit down. So I ended up having a couple beers, but yeah, this is tonight's my only beer since then.
Yeah.
But it was fun. We played some games. It was a really cool place while it lasted.
Mm-hmm. I had a buddy's birthday last night, so I had a little drinking from that. Oh my god.
Yeah. Did you guys do a little party in?
Yeah. It was cool though. It was good to see him.
That's good. But yeah, real quick, we'll just get it out of the way. We're drinking tonight. We're drinking Mind Haze, the Cosmic Crusher. It's from Firestone Brewery, Firestone Walker Brewing Company. It's a juicy imperial, 9.5 ABV for a 12 ounce.
It's pretty smooth.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's smooth. It's got a aftertaste that I'm trying to put my foot on.
Yeah. I don't
know why I said foot. My finger. I'm trying to put my finger on it, not my foot. But yeah, it's really good.
I like it.
Dad approved.
9.5.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we got some messages.
We do. So Greg, of course, probably our number one messenger, I would say. Mm-hmm. He's been the most vocal in our community on YouTube. First off, he says, "Hi guys, nice to hear you again." And Dean, 2008 was 17 years ago, man. And he has a laughing emoji. My son was born in 2007. He's going to be 18 in a few months. Time flies, eh?
Oh, man.
No shit. 2008.
What were we talking about with 2008?
This must have been in our last episode.
Yeah.
Because this is what he's referencing in the next message as well. But he's
trying to remember what we were talking about.
I'm sure we mentioned just being old. But
probably.
The next day, he messaged us again, and he goes, "Hi again. Fascinating stuff at the end. I found Amon's channel, and I'll be listening. Seems intriguing. As for Coulthard's egg video, in my opinion, it's lame. We just don't know what it really is. Mm-hmm. We can see some object dangling at the end of the line, but that's about it. There's no context, no surroundings, no people, etc. So I'm highly skeptical about it. Coulthard says it's earth-shattering and all these big words, but it's not. All these guys, Coulthard, Elizondo, Corbell, etc., they are just making money out of it. All the time they say, it's coming. It's going to be big. Next 2 weeks. Next few months. It's going to be huge, man. It's imminent. And all this crap. The whistleblowers are coming. And blah, 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 on and on and on. They constantly move the big event and the big reveal further and further into the never happening future. Of course, they need to keep their audience in constant waiting and expecting just to cash out from new episodes and interviews, etc. And every new episode, they give you a little snippets of something just to keep you in. This is a scam, dishonest, and just a money grab on naive ones. As for Greer, it's quite similar in my opinion, and I emphasize that it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. It just looks like it to me. Greer is a hugely narcissistic guy. Please note that in every podcast or interview, he says the same thing: how many whistleblowers he has, how he's just a modest ER doctor, and how many pounds he presses on the bench. And there are these costly trainings of CE5 of his and events where you can allegedly see UFOs. Can't remember where, somewhere on Reddit, I've heard some allegations that one of these events were staged, and he asked some private plane companies to drop flares over some beach. Guys investigating this asked this company about it, but they just ended the call. And Greer obviously denies this. But when they checked the time of the alleged UFOs with the flight tracker of this private company's plane, it was a match. So it was Greer. I was into Greer years and years ago, hoping that he'll be the one to lead to the eventual disclosure. But years are passing, and we are nowhere near the truth. I just stick to the old school researchers and writers. Also, the Polish background, as we've got really, in my opinion, trusted people here. Anyways, thanks for good listening, and I'll check this guy Amen out. Greetings.
Yeah, Amen's YouTube channel is pretty cool. It's called Lady Babylon. He's got so much content on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go through it systematically because he's got I've listened to the entire first episode, obviously, on Danny Jones, and then the most recent one of him on Danny Jones, and then I listened to the one you sent me most recently
with him
of the end of the Exorcist episode. I didn't watch the full Exorcist episode yet because, in my opinion, I'm just not as interested in that. But I was interested to see an Exorcist
their
talk
interaction,
to Amen, because Amen is a fascinating character, whereas the Exorcist, I can kind of assume what he was going to say, and just from the title of it, I think I was spot on with my assumptions. But anyway, that whole debate with him and what was the guy's name? What was the Dan or Dave? I can't remember his name.
The Exorcist?
Yeah.
His name was Bob Larson.
That's it. That was way off. Anyway. But yeah, no, that was fascinating just listening. And obviously Amen's over the top and theatrical
he's just trying to
in your face, but
he's trying to convince Amen to pay him to do a private exorcism, and he's like, yeah, I'll talk to you in private off camera.
Yeah, and you have to, and usually I charge a fee for my services, but in this case I'll do it for free because you're so clearly demonic and I want to clear you of this.
Did you get to the end too where
the whole outro was like him, and even
where they were talking about the money
part.
It was paying him.
And the funny part was the Bob guy was like, "Let me see that envelope," because Danny had literally slid him an envelope at the end of it,
right?
And Bob was like, "Is this cash in here?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's cash." And he's like, "Oh well, if it wasn't cash, I would have ripped it up." But he still took it. Or he threw it back on, but he threw it on his side of the table, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's funny because on Amon's episode, he was talking about how he doesn't even monetize his YouTube channel,
which is
because he feels that the muse would leave him if he did.
Yeah.
And
or the demon in the
right, according to Bob.
According to
demon. Bob. Siri's listening to you.
Siri, stop.
Anyway, this is just funny because Amon's like, no, don't worry. Like, he's not making money off it, and he's only making enemies doing it. And then you have this other guy who's like getting paid money just to like spend time talking about this stuff. I wonder now if that envelope was for Bob's episode or to like convince Bob like as a like bounty to like talk to Amon.
Well, and you would think too, because Danny made it clear that, I'm just donating to the church.
Right.
But there was an envelope there with money. That's different. Usually when you're donating to a church.
Like, of course, his church, so he controls the money anyway.
Exactly.
Like, just goes to him.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And I want to make it clear, though, too, that I have nothing against religion on its face.
No, yeah.
I have something against organized religion that is doing that exact thing, extracting money out of people for services that are supposed to be for the greater good of the person.
Right, which is related to what Greg's talking about here with the UFO people.
Exactly.
And, I got the similar feelings. Like, one of the things with, like, Jake Barber that gives me pause is, like, he's out as this whistleblower, but he's like, at the very same time, he's like, also, I've launched my new UFO organization.
The Skywatchers thing.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
I mean, there's no way to tell who, especially, I mean, and even within that interview with Jake Barber, especially the one with Jesse Michaels.
The one with Jesse is interesting. Yeah.
You get more of an idea of who he is and what he's capable of, right? Mm-hmm. He is a high level operator. You can tell based on the information, the way he talks, the amount of information he has on how the military operates, that he's clearly what he says he is. But that's the problem, is he seems to be exactly what he says he is, and he's a red shirter,
right?
Which means that he is a highly competent and capable manipulator within the military.
And they addressed that in the interview with Jesse Michaels.
Yeah.
Jesse's like, well, how do I know you're not red teaming us right now? And he's like, well, you don't. I'm going to be perfectly honest, you don't. So
you'll never know. Yeah.
Best I can do is say, quote the Bible and say you'll know us by our fruits, type thing. So that's seemingly promising more coming down the road.
Well, and that's the problem too that I'm having. Like, he supposedly has his own network of this Skywatcher thing, and I've never seen anything from him before this as far as the Skywatcher stuff goes. So why not? Like, it's not like he had this grassroots movement of like naturally becoming a whistleblower on his own and then having all these high profile interviews. At least from my point of view, maybe some other people have seen him on his own channel or whatever, like talking about it. But like, he talks about this like spiritual type of encounter he had while flying a helicopter, picking up one of these crafts. But it just seems like that. It just seems to me like if that was true, I feel like I would have seen it or heard about it, or like I don't know. I just, all these other people who have those type of interviews, usually it's, I don't know. I guess you could take into account some of the other interviews with other people, but because they're military guys, a lot of these guys aren't going to like come out and say these things because it discredits them within the military, community. But I don't know. It's hard to figure out, man.
Part of me feels like what we're seeing with all these quote unquote whistleblowers is an attempt to
muddy the water.
Well, no, it's almost like an attempt to like rebuild the UFO program outside the government with a little more visibility so that they can have control over the narrative and
still have control
and kind of like, I don't know, because like seems like Jake's mission with his Skywatchers is to like actually essentially have a private crash retrieval program.
Well, but there's the flip side of it where he claims and he in the interview we played, I don't know, did we play it last week where he credited, I think we did, where he credited Greer with being on to something with his whole summoning thing and being able to control the craft and stuff. It's like, but he also claims the same thing with his organization, being able to like summon these craft.
Right.
And it seems like the beginning of another Stephen Greer CE5 start type of situation.
I mean, he gives credit to Stephen Greer, but he also says like we're not using his protocol. Like his is like a branded thing, and that's not what we're doing.
Which is what you would say if you're trying to start a competing company too, right? Yeah.
But also, like in some of the clips of like them doing their Skywatcher stuff that you see on the News Nation special, you can see that they're doing like the same sort of protocol that Dean Radin talks about in the telepathy test that they do, where they're doing like the red light, covering the eyes using red light, and then the like headphones. Anyway.
So it's more like sensory deprivation and like allowing yourself to like fully connect with your mind instead of your senses.
And then in his interview with Jesse, he was talking about using like ultrasound on the brain, which is interesting and seems, I wonder if that could be dangerous. It sounds like it could be dangerous.
Like ultrasound could be dangerous on the brain.
Anyway,
especially long periods exposed to it.
But yeah, Greer's interesting because he's definitely I agree with Greg. He's got that narcissism aspect to him,
which is clear the first time you see an interview from him.
But he, it's hard to, you can't take everything away from him because he also brought us the big disclosure press conference at the National Press Club where we had dozens and dozens of, former government officials come out and claim different aspects of involvement and detection back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I would say that like Greer seems to there seems to be some snake oil within the midst of his whole protocol and whatever. But I will say that it seems like he's pressing Congress and he's pressing the government in such a way, and he's been, I don't know this for a fact myself personally, but like supposedly he's been briefing presidents and for a long time since the Clintons, which is similar time frame as Jake Barber has been involved in this type of stuff. Like the government seems to have been aware of what Greer has been doing and the types of stuff Greer and Jake Barber have been doing since about then. At least more interested in like the government. Like government people are more interested in like getting the information out to the public because that means that they get more information because they're not in these, legacy programs. They are the ones that are outside the legacy programs that want in a sense,
Another interesting thing that came out in Jake Barber's interview with Jesse Michaels, because this wasn't out last time we podcasted their interview together. And I haven't even finished it yet, but some of the last parts I've been listening to is he's been talking about the type of like the ultrasound and stuff, but they was talking about that in the context of the legacy program has for a long time essentially used remote viewers. And has found the most success with like children. And so that there's some definite, I don't know, it's got some Stranger Things vibes going on there. It's pretty uncomfortable to think about.
They referenced
could be part of the reason why people want to keep this secret so bad is there could be some real immoral activities going on there.
Right, and it kind of reminds me of, in a similar fashion of like what Amon talked about with like the way like some of these religious figures may have been. Like, what if it is that this is like an extension of what was going on millennia ago, in a sense of like being able to harness some sort of like connection with these things and that these things aren't necessarily alien. Yes, they are alien, but they are more divine and spiritual in nature, and that they have a connection to our past.
Yeah.
And that whatever. Anyway, I don't want to harp on the child thing necessarily, but there was a thing that he also mentioned with Mike Herrera or some other guy that had an interview with Jesse Michaels, or I think it was Jesse Michaels, maybe another guy, but he had talked about how the government would go into these other countries, these like third world countries that are having these sightings, and they would go in and they would basically, in a sense, abduct people in poverty
in order to use
them as these remote viewers.
Yeah.
Whether they're children or not, they are using people. And even Jake Barber mentioned that, like, yeah, if you go and let's say full disclosure happened now, and we went into like all these programs that are like, dark in nature as far as like the public sees it, and you go into these programs and you like liberate these people that have been like abducted for these programs, and they say, well, I'm being treated fine, and I'm being treated well, way better than I was beforehand. Sure, the nature of their abduction is dark, but you got to say that their situation now is much better. Yes, they're making money. They have some sort of purpose now.
Right. That was the sort of claims they were making.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, a full catastrophic disclosure, like if everything just all came out at once, could expose these types of underhanded things that may have been happening. Yeah. And that's why you've heard a lot of people talking about they only see a path forward for disclosure if there's some sort of amnesty involved for the crimes of the past.
Some pretty dark
up to
things.
A certain point. But yeah, and that sort of worries me too, that's part of why this is all taking so long, is they're trying to figure out how to bring it all into the daylight with them never feeling the consequences for what they've done.
Well, and that makes me feel like you're right in a sense of like, these new whistleblowers are setting the foundation for a new organization that's external to the legacy program, but still operates as the same way, with the same manipulation and all these things, right? But is able to set it up in such a way where they're not doing all the dark stuff. And so now, in 50 years, when these guys are dead, the guys that are doing the things now, there won't be anything to litigate.
Yeah.
Because they'll be doing things in the light instead of the shadows, so people will be able to see what they're doing and know what they're doing. So a future, my kids, grandkids might actually be able to see.
But a lot of these UFO people, they've got those sorts of egos, and we talked about this on the last episode. And another one of those people is Jeremy Corbell himself. I don't know if you saw this whole thing with he like freaked out over this congressional hearing because what was the big thing that Michael Schellenberger's article was called Immaculate Constellation. Yeah. Well, apparently the Congresswoman Nancy Mace credited Schellenberger for bringing the documents, and Corbell was just pissed because he brought the documents to Schellenberger. And so because his name was not on congressional record in an association, he just went on a tirade on Twitter saying like, your Congress people are lying. Literally in just reference to the fact that they weren't saying his name. It was like,
yeah, I mean, you gotta, yeah.
And maybe there are some weird political reasons to that, and
of course, because technically,
like, I mean, that's a pretty egoistic thing to do.
Well, yeah, especially because if your true intention is to get the information out there, yeah, it sucks. Sure, I get that, but all in all, what's really happening here? Like, you're getting the information out.
Right.
You got to be happy with what you get.
Right.
Just because your name's not on a congressional document saying that stated where the documents came from, like that's, yeah. He does well, and I've always thought this of Jeremy. That he is wanting his name to be stamped in history as being the one who disclosed all these things, and being the reporter, or being the reporter that broke the story, kind of like how his predecessor, what's his name? I can't. It's just escaping my mind. Yeah, George Knapp kind of broke the whole Bob Lazar stuff. He wants to be the one to break the next big thing, Right. And now Schellenberger is kind of like the big name in it, and he's been going on all these big podcasts and talking about stuff lately too. Yeah,
Schellenberger's interesting because he's not totally convinced by it all.
Yeah,
but he's convinced enough to know that there's something there. Some sort of there, but
which is better too, because you do need a I think you don't need the full on conspiracy of it all. Mm-hmm. I feel like the general population needs to have a balanced understanding of what's going on. Because Jeremy stylizes a lot of the things that he is disclosing,
right?
And like you'll get a post from him. Oh man, I got this big thing coming, and like he talks about all the, like even the Jake Barber stuff. Like he posted a couple of days before, we've got bombshell evidence coming out, and I'm telling you now, this is going to change the entire landscape of ufology and all these things. It's like, dude, like you're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Yeah,
in my opinion. There's probably people that appreciate it, but
I mean, it's getting us closer and closer and closer to the actual legacy program, though, with Jake Barber, which is good. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that is progress. If there's anything to these whistleblowers, then whoever is working with them and getting them in the skiffs to reveal all the names and places and dates, like, it's pretty likely that, the actual names, dates, companies, hangars, where to go to find the stuff should be known by now. So
yeah, I agree that like, and to Greg's point, like the video we posted even on our last video, and the ones that are being posted all over social media of the egg craft itself, it was a pretty shoddy video. It gives you a representation of what it is he may have been seeing, but I don't think that was necessarily like his experience. Like that wasn't a video from his aircraft,
right? It was never claimed to be,
and it was when it was being dropped off,
the encounter he had.
Exactly.
In fact, they're saying it was from a different one, which is interesting because it like matches his description so much too.
But there's all these other like claims of like these like eggs that have been discovered and deep within caves and all these other stuff. The egg shape
has had a long association in the UFO topic, so it is consistent with the topic.
But, and he even made Jake Barber even made reference to that old sci-fi film with Robin Williams. I can't remember the name of the film.
Flubber?
No, it was
with Robin Williams.
No, it was like an old video or old show or something where it was like aliens came to Earth and they traveled here in an egg-shaped craft and
Mork and Mindy.
That's it.
Yeah. Nano. Yeah.
And like he speculates that happened such a long time ago that maybe there's in the public zeitgeist, it's been understood that this is the shape of what it is, the most common UFO, really.
Yeah. So if you go into some of the conspiracy rabbit holes, what's the name of the project? The project where CIA got involved with like Hollywood and stuff. Mockingbird.
Yeah, that's it.
There's been a weird, like, sort of give and take, back and forth connections between intelligence and entertainment. And it just seems like a very logical way to go for if you want to discredit something,
you make it seem fantastical.
Well, you use like the real story or close to it, like a really similar spin-off in a Hollywood production in a fictional setting, and then put it out as some entertaining movie. Everyone goes and sees it, like, oh, what a great movie. And then when they hear someone come to them and say, oh, did you hear about this and this and that?
Right. I saw that movie.
Oh, you mean like Mission Impossible? Bro, stop believing everything you see in the movies. Right? Like, it's a great way to undercut 100%. Credibility.
Because you know the movies are fake. And and it's easy to discredit people in just society without having to do much work at all.
Right.
All you need is just the normal average everyday person.
Yeah.
You don't need some highly trained CIA operative to tell the person that it's fake.
If you present truth in a setting that is clearly demarcated as fiction.
Yeah.
And then when someone later comes and tries to claim that as truth, you'll be way more skeptical of it.
Absolutely.
So, anyway. Cool. Well, thanks for the first segment there, Greg.
Yeah, no shit, Greg. You're awesome, man. Appreciate all the comments and keep them coming, man. And I also wanted to say, if you have any more... some of the you mentioned these old school researchers and writers from the Polish background. We'd love to hear some of that. Can you send us some links and some?
Obviously, we can't read Polish, but
yeah. But if we'll figure out a way to
if there's anything
translate it.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the world of AI translations. Maybe we can come up with something.
So yeah, please send us some of the stuff that you believe is more trusted and stuff that you believe is the stuff that you believe. We'd love to hear about. So, hit us up with that.
You assign more credibility to.
Exactly, yeah.
Outright believe it.
True, yeah. But yeah, hit us up with some of that. We'd love to read or, get lost in some of that. So,
cool.
Anyway, appreciate you, Greg.
Thanks for the message. And we will take our first break and come back and talk about some more aliens.
Yeah.
This is Soul Food, If I...
Yeah, I got a date with destiny, but I'm flirting with greatness. Between us, jealousy and hope trying to save us. In love with my dreams, so I sleep with her often. In search of peace and beats to get lost in it. Proceed with caution, this life could be rough. Be your enemy or best friend and switch back up. But I keep my eyes open and my heart on my sleeve. I wear it proudly, that's a part of my steez. And if you ever call, I'll be there in the breeze. Just tell me what it is and I'll give you what you need. And I'll come running just to see you again. If you ever need a friend, just know you can call on me. Now follow me along, don't be alarmed, don't hesitate. This world is ours, make no mistakes, but we don't gotta stay. I wonder would you care at all if I called your name? I know this game ain't fair, but I gotta play. I know it can be so hard, I know it can be so tough. Just cause we're over now don't mean we had enough. I don't wanna leave you, yeah, oh, but I just can't stay. Would you come back to me? Yo, if I call I can hear all the voices in my head and the rhythm that it plays to the beating of my heart and the music that it makes. This position that I'm faced with, choices I must take can either take me higher or lose you by mistake. It's the price I gotta pay for this life that I chase. From this mic and this page to the lights and the stage. And suffice it to say, I'm in love with my dreams. Do I choose it over love or fight for my queen? It's the life of a dreamer and I'm right in between. Whether right or it's wrong, got the right to be me. So tonight let's let it be and pretend I never leave you. Treat you as my equal, cause that's how I see you. I need you more so than ever, never before. Let's play it out, since we hit a chord. This instrumental, of course, you're the one. But these drums got me wondering who's still with me when the music stops playing. I know it can be so hard, I know it can be so tough. Just cause we're over now don't mean we had enough. I don't wanna leave you, yeah, oh, but I just can't stay. Would you come back to me? Yo, if I call called your name, would you feel the same if we switch position? This language that we speak is so strange, yet we play like this flame will never go out. It's my time more than ever, but I can't go now. I can't, but I must, and I'll take the blame for it. I'm lost in the love, and I feel the pain for it. It's the same story again, and I'm sorry to say it's part of the game. This heartache and pains, but what's it worth to gain to lose you over the fame? Now would it be the same if I left and came back? Can we be again? I know it feels so cold, but just hold on for a minute. We got a long way to go, this is just the beginning. The pain is just too real without you here. Even though we're apart, you held me down from the start. I know you're always near, I know you're always here.
You're holding down my heart. I know it can be so hard. I know it can be so tough. Just 'cause we're over now don't mean we had enough. I don't wanna leave you, oh, but I just can't stay. Would you come back to me if I called your name? If I called your
Welcome back.
I love that song.
That's a good one.
I love that song.
Yeah. Those were our buddies, Derek singing.
Yeah. He's got a great voice.
Our cousin Danielle was on the chorus of that too. Anyway, let's get in some other stuff. We got some Bashar here.
Yeah, let's kick it off with some Bashar, our weekly Bashar.
What happens when I die?
Whatever you wish.
So do I retain the memories now? Like right now, do I
Yes.
remember my ABCs?
You
my
contain
1, 2, 3s?
everything. Nothing ever goes away. Remember, this whole idea that many people on your planet have of blending with God, so to speak, it's not the loss of your identity. You simply wind up realizing that you're the only identity left.
So
And the only identity that's ever been.
So one of my reasons is that if I was God, I must have gotten bored as omniscient,
No,
as omnipotent being.
no.
Okay, I was wrong. Okay.
It's not wrong. It's just that boredom is an experience within God, but God does not get bored of experiencing boredom.
So with existence or all that is, it doesn't change as itself, but within itself.
Yes.
Okay, so the experience is real, but
Yes.
fundamentally, it's not real.
The structure never changes, but the experience does. That's how creation expands.
So
It knows itself from new perspectives.
What happens when I experience all that is?
Then you will be all that is.
Then what can I do from that point?
Then you can experience yourself as an all that is within a greater all that is.
So it's an infinite chain of
It
events.
is.
That's beautiful. That really is.
It's
It
just
really
what it is, and yes, it is beautiful. But
So-
that's what it is. It can't be anything else.
So what happens when
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So, yeah, that from our talks over the weekend, this really hit me in a strong way after talking to you.
Okay, so let's go there then.
It just really seems like this Bashar is onto something when it comes to the experience of life and the understanding of what it is to die and reincarnate, and the things that we've been playing with this podcast and like these ideas, right? And I'd like to get your take on it, knowing your reaction to that video. So yeah, but it just seems like it's such a, I don't know, it's such a, I'm having a loss for words. I wanted you to take over if you can.
Yeah, so before what I was referring to there is before this segment, Drew was like, this Bashar thing, you might have some stuff to say about it because of your recent experiences, which is I recently got to got to connect with God through DMT, and it was freaking mind-blowing. And I think we'll save the full story for a future podcast, but
we'll do a full episode on this.
This is definitely connects to the experience I had, because I essentially at one point realized that I am God and everyone is, and that this entity, this all source of everything, this God, whatever term you want to use, is all of us. We are each that. We are each other. Like it is only through this physical plane of existence that we have this
Individuality.
this sense of individuality.
Yeah.
And I actually had a very real experiential knowing of exactly what he's talking about here, which is that God is essentially playing by creating this world. What we're doing is we're creating a playground for ourselves. It's not all that different from someone sitting there and toiling away for hours creating all this code and math that creates this experience that we call a video game, so that someone can sit and get lost in fantasy and play for hours in it, right?
Or their lifetimes. I mean, there's people who spend their entire lives in a video game.
Right. And so similarly, that's essentially what was done in the creation of this universe as a way for us to play and experience what it's like to be these physical entities. Anyway.
With limitations.
Right. Yeah.
Because there is a beauty.
Part of it.
There's a beauty to the limitations. Because if there's no limitations, there's no boundary. There's no sense of rubbing up against another. There's no sense of, there's no love, right? And not in a bad way. Not saying that there's no love outside of this. I'm just saying that there's no yin and yang, in a sense of there's no darkness to fuel the light. In a sense of at least in my perspective, not that there are no negative experiences, because I don't know outside of within my experience, the darkness gives the light the shine that it has, right? Knowing that you are capable of and this is the whole idea of the podcast and the duality of nature and the yin and yang and these things within the physical realm, is that the darkness gives the light, but there's all these other dualities within that too. It's not just the negative and the evil and the good. There's not just
to go with the yin yang metaphor. The yin yang is a whole thing, right? It's a whole circle,
structure,
and it divides itself into light and dark in order for the light and dark to define each other, right? But the wholeness of the thing existed before
it's the reality
division.
It's the reality of it. Yeah, right. That's what I meant. But it's not that there's no darkness outside of this. It's that the experiencing of what it is, the physical nature of the darkness, and how you triumph over it, or within it, or through it, or all of these different ways to engage in it, gives you the purpose in a sense, right? Individually, right? Because everybody experiences, we all know, we are experiencing these things individually, whether we come to an agreement that we are one and we are experiencing this as one, although it may be through different lenses and different frames and different slices of reality at different times of the scale of it all. It's so magical, and I remember telling you on Friday when we were hanging out and talking about some of these things that having children allows me to experience the joy and the unscripted joy of like experience, and it gives you a lens into what it's like to just live with joy and happiness and experience the dark things, but not take the dark things or the negative things as a bad thing. Like there are, like when you're a child and something bad happens to you, what brings you out of it but the most amazing experience? Like you have a bad day as a child. What happens after that? Your mom gives you a giant hug. She tells you it's going to be all right. You have a great experience with your family or some sort of experience. And I will admit that this is not for everybody. Not everybody has these experiences, but that's what it's all like. That's where the yin and yang is. Like as a child, you're just able to forget about the darkness because of how light the light is, you know, like you're able to really engage with what's going on in the moment. So the darkness doesn't seem so dark when you have when you experience the beauty of the world. Yeah. Interesting. And it actually gives it some context. It gives the darkness some context. Like as a parent, you have to do things that your child hates in order to make sure that they are healthy and capable of doing things. Like my child, or my oldest, has an eye infection right now, and I have to hold, like he hates putting the eye drops in his eyes and making sure that but I have to do it. Right. Otherwise he could get really sick. Right. I have to hold him down because he struggles so much. I have to hold him down and hold him down in such a way that if I feel like I'm hurting him, but at the end, he gives me a giant hug and he gives me like this big smile, and he sees his eye getting better in the mirror every day. And I'm like, I'm trying to help you. I'm telling him over and over again, I don't want to do this, but I will have to do this if you're not going to sit still. Right. Right. Because it's for you. I'm not doing this because I want to hurt you. I'm doing this because I want you to survive and thrive. And at the end of it, he gives me a giant hug. He's never been more affectionate because he understands that the hardest times come with the best of times.
Right, right. Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, they just have a way of like rolling with the punches.
Rolling with the punches and accepting the things that are happening to them, not knowing, but being encouraged by the fact that the good times are coming, right? Right. But they get to a point where they're able to separate those things, right? And that's the idea of like when they get too old, like their consciousness sets in, they start to contextualize things, they start to like, you know, their brain and outside forces start to be able to like engage in their own in their consciousness. So like that's when things start to change, when they be 5, 6, 7 years old, when things start to change. You know, my son's 4, and you know, it's getting to that point where I'm starting to like be fearful because I have this understanding of like consciousness, at least at a basic level, that there's going to be a point where like if I have to do stuff like that, he might actually really not like me for a while. Right. He might think I was trying to hurt him. Right. You know, because of the outside forces that might influence his consciousness. You know. Yeah. And I don't think that's negative in a sense, but I do think that negative is going to eventually turn into a positive, because I do believe in myself that it's all the negative things that have happened to me led me to where I am now, and I don't hate them. So I know that he's going to have that similar experience, hopefully, right? Yeah. That's the hope. But it's so like, especially when you open your mind to these things and you open your mind to the experiences of life and all the bad and the good that come through in waves in your life. Like it's all just happening. Just experience the moment just experience the moment. Live your life in the moment. Don't fear for the future. Don't want for the past, because the moment is what's happening now. And that's what should guide you, whatever it may be.
Preach, brother. It's good stuff. Yeah. Huh.
And we'll dig into some more of Dean's experience too.
I think I want to do an episode where I tell the whole story.
I would love to actually see, because we were at a bar and it was loud and I didn't hear a lot of the things that you had to say. So I'd love to sit down and actually talk to you, because I have a lot of questions.
All right, cool.
Because I've never experienced what you just experienced, and I'd really like to pick your brain about it.
It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible, I gotta say. So, all right, let's go on then. What's this? You drop the Osiris Rex webpage here?
So the Osiris Rex mission was a recent, well, not so recent. It was like 2017, I think, that they sent it out. But it recently came back and they analyzed. They recently published their findings from the analysis of
the rock and dust from asteroid Bennu.
Yeah, so this is when they sent out a probe to go and collect some material from asteroid Bennu, and they found the building blocks for life on this asteroid that they are assuming came from a planet that was destroyed at some point in the universe's past.
So it says here on NASA's website, studies of rock and dust from asteroid Bennu delivered to Earth by Osiris Rex spacecraft have revealed molecules that on our planet are key to life, as well as a history of salt water that could have served as the broth for these compounds to interact and combine.
Yeah, let's watch this quick little 4-minute video on here too.
Okay.
The origin of life is one of the deepest mysteries in science, but the clues to solving it have been buried by plate tectonics, the water cycle, and even life itself. For answers, scientists are looking beyond Earth to primitive asteroids like Bennu, the target of NASA's daring Osiris Rex sample return mission. Now, material from Bennu is revealing a lost world from the dawn of the solar system, with the right conditions to foster the building blocks of life. When scientists examined the Bennu samples, they discovered evidence of a wet and salty past. Among the dark rocks were bright veins of salts that form on Earth when brines evaporate from alkaline lakes. Searles Lake, California is home to a mineral called trona, which is mined as a source of baking soda. Scientists found microcrystals of trona and other evaporite minerals within the Bennu samples, indicating that they once held pockets of sodium-rich water. Such brines are ideal for cooking up organic molecules, carbon-based compounds that are the stuff of life. Bennu is a carbon-rich asteroid, and its samples are chock full of organics, including amino acids and nucleobases. Amino acids can be bonded together in long chains to build proteins, which give cells their structure and function. Life is constructed from a set of 20 amino acids, 14 of which were identified within the Bennu samples. Nucleobases are the genetic components of DNA and RNA. All 5 nucleobases were discovered in the Bennu samples, a first for extraterrestrial material collected by a spacecraft. In addition to organic molecules, scientists found that the Bennu samples are surprisingly rich in ammonia. On Earth, ammonia is a common agricultural fertilizer. It readily evaporates at room temperature, but is more stable in cold environments, like those found in the outer solar system. Bennu is too close to the Sun to retain pure ammonia, so its samples must have formed during a more distant, frigid past. Salts, organics, ammonia. Thanks to Osiris Rex, we can now piece together these clues to tell a likely origin story for asteroid Bennu. 4.5 billion years ago, in the nascent solar system's outer reaches, a world of rock, metal, and ice took shape. Radioactive decay heated its interior, melting some of the ice. Pockets of mineral-rich water reacted with formaldehyde and ammonia to produce organics. As the water dried up, the dissolved minerals crystallized, leaving bright veins within the rocks. The world migrated closer to the Sun until it was shattered in a collision and destroyed. Bennu accreted from the rubble and drifted further inward, eventually settling into a near-Earth orbit where it could be reached by Osiris Rex. Our planet was bombarded by asteroids like Bennu early in its history, suggesting that many of the same organic molecules were present on Earth before the dawn of life. These findings help to close a gap in our understanding of the early solar system, but key questions remain open. Many amino acids can be created in two mirror image versions, like a pair of left and right hands. Life on Earth almost exclusively produces the left-handed variety, while the Bennu samples contain an equal mixture of both. This means that on early Earth, amino acids may have started out in an equal mixture as well. The reason that life turned left instead of right remains a mystery. Additional insights may come in 2030 when NASA's Europa Clipper mission arrives at Jupiter. It will hunt for evidence of a briny ocean within the moon Europa, an environment favorable to producing organics. Until then, scientists will dig deeper into the Bennu samples, unearthing more molecular clues about the origins of life.
Cool.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty fascinating, especially in the sense of like panspermia and the idea of like life being transmitted throughout the universe using these type of asteroids.
Yeah,
depending on their origin, obviously.
It's interesting that the amino acids are being found in equal left and right handedness, which means that it wasn't life that was responsible for creating those.
Right.
Because,
had the equal amounts of parts.
Right. Super interesting. Heck yeah.
So that just gives us a little bit more context as to our origins.
Then you got another one here.
Yeah, so this is a guy, I don't know much about the guy himself, but I saw this recently and I thought it was fascinating, his near-death experience and this will probably tie back again to some of the stuff that we talked about with the Bashar video and some of your experiences too, like just his experience of dying and coming back.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So let's hear this.
And I was now this huge expanded balloon.
He left his body. We missed
It was the most exhilarating feeling. Like somebody was pouring honey all over my brain, and it was running down through all my nerves. Emotions of acceptance and joy. That was your vibration, that you were just this exuberant, overwhelmingly happy, joyful being. And you were home. It was just absolute ecstasy. There was another thing that was going on, and it was this knowledge. It's like all this knowledge is scripted on the universe. All you have to do is think about a subject and it just floods in.
That's exactly how I described it to you, huh?
I know.
Yeah, I had this experience where like I felt like, because I was gone from my body, like I wasn't connected to my body anymore, but I could feel like messages, like questions being sent from my distant body to whatever I was or wherever I was.
A distant body.
Yeah, and when I would feel those come into my head, I would like ask those questions, but like it was like the asking just enabled me to just know the answers. Like there was just filled with a knowing. It wasn't like someone answered me. It was just like, oh, we know the answer to this.
It wasn't like typing into Chat GPT and like waiting for an answer.
It was like the act of asking is the act of like uncovering that you already know the answer.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I remember as a kid in college, you had a thing called a microfiche. You bring that thing up on a screen, and then if you spun it, then the pages would just flash by. And that's what it was. It was just coming super fast. And there was just this flood of information. The whole script of a human being. It's all there on the skein of time. Nothing was impossible in that realm. As I was flying along, I remember one thing that was really powerful was, how in the world did I believe I was this dude? How did I believe I was Bill? I had this whole personality, and I had these relationships, I had these likes and dislikes. all of that had dropped away. It was like I was playing a game and I was pretending to be this person, this human being. We're all just playing these parts. It's all a game. I think that the object of the game is, can we wake up in the game and realize who we are with joy and kindness and patience? So I was flying along and everything was just marvelous. Everything was wonderful. And I just felt so at home. And then all of a sudden I landed in a place that was solid. Right in front of me, there were these three little hooded guys, and they were overwhelmed to see me. And I felt immediately good in their presence. They were asking me questions all of a sudden, like, how was it? What did you see? What did you learn? What can you tell us? I was really confused, and they were amused by that. And one of them stepped forward, and he turned to the other two and he said, "He doesn't remember us." And they all started giggling. It was like I had just gotten off the roller coaster and they were my best friends and they were back at the landing and they all wanted to know, how was the roller coaster? And I hadn't really gotten my wits about me to tell them. This other guy, he was like this tall, wispy guy. He's made out of energy, like a swirling tornado or a whirlpool. He moved forward. Parts of him would separate and then catch up. And he had this big smile on his face. You could tell he was super happy. And more than that, you could feel his love. And as he got closer to me, my throat just tightened and my chest was like overinflating. I felt like I was going to drop to my knees and break down crying uncontrollably from love. Historically, our ancestors, they have names for them. They're these non-physical beings that bounce between our ability to perceive them. And they called them things like helpers, guides, angels. Yeah, I do think this is some sort of connection to a higher self. So I said, what's next? A review of my life? You guys want to get started with that? Something in me, that fire captain experience or something, was, okay, there's a procedure here, and let's get busy with it. The tall, wispy guy, he just cracked up. When he stopped chuckling, he said, okay, sure, let's do that. This wasn't a review of life. This was a show and tell. It was like a tour of the dimensions of our situation here. I didn't have any huge regrets. I told a few stories about jobs I wish I'd taken and a couple other things. And then it was almost comical. He just stepped forward like a father, like picking a toddler off the ground, He says, okay, that's enough. Time to go back. Left my body. And I was now this huge, expanded balloon.
Dude, near-death experiences are
So fascinating.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, and this idea, like obviously the angels and like the guides and the helpers. And like even recently with the telepathy tapes, there was the tape talks or whatever they called it. They had a new episode come out, and where this speaker who had gone through cancer and degenerative autoimmune disease, he gained access to the hill.
right.
And he had spoke with some of the students that he had been working with in the classroom that he had volunteered for to just work with some of these non-speakers. And he had communicated with these non-speakers through, via the hill. But he also, what was more fascinating to me, not that the rest isn't fascinating, but what was more fascinating that he and Kai had the same thought of how dangerous it is to have access to this as a speaker to this non-speaker's realm where they feel protected and safe to like communicate telepathically together. And they reassured him and Kai that they are protected by this divine being or beings that were meant to just be there to facilitate their communications on this non-physical realm. And even he said, like, it wasn't that he was seeing things physically on this so-and-so hill. It was that he was like auditorily connected to this thing, and he just felt pure peace on this hill and this connection to the divine, these divine beings that were giving him access to this information. And they are collectors of thoughts, is the way he and others had described it. That they are here to help us along this path, whether it be that they're always there or that they're only there when called. It doesn't really matter, I guess, right? Like if you were to put any kind of credence on this idea of there being this outside realm that we are a part of and that we are all one in this realm, there is comfort in knowing that there are beings that are already there that don't incarnate into physical bodies, that are meant to guide and help us along this path, especially once you start accepting that there is this non-physical aspect to life.
Yeah, there's like a spiritual body, not just a physical body.
Yeah. That connects us to this, omniscient, being or oneness that connects us all in some way, in some fashion. And that there is really no reason for concern, because not that there's no reason for concern. I don't want to tell people there's no, and I haven't experienced this for myself, but just from accepting in myself that these things are real, knowing that it cannot be, malevolent fully.
Right.
There are malevolent aspects to all aspects of life, and I get that. That's the duality of the nature of things, but that there are benevolent, people or creatures or beings or whatever you want to, gods that look out for the spirit of humanity. And I don't mean humans, I just mean the spirit of what it is that we are, collectively.
Yeah.
I do think there's something there.
Dude, people with near-death experiences they usually have some pretty incredible stuff to say. Yeah. And it's interesting. There are some differences in some people's accounts, but there's also a lot of similarities, which, it's interesting how much some of his descriptions resonate with what I went through.
Especially early on in his descriptions too, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that the people the differences you see are the individualities, right? It's the fact that we are actually living individual lives with individual predispositions and assumptions. So whether you eventually get to a singularity or a oneness, it doesn't matter when you're on the face of it, right? Because we are actually living individual lives, and our experiences are individual. So like he said with his life review, it wasn't much of a life review. It was more of like a show and tell. Mm-hmm. With other people, there is a life review where you've done bad things in this physical life. You have to review those and understand that means something to your immaterial life. The fact that you are capable of doing those things or willing to do those things or allowed your, like there's still some sort of like you have to review and like understand what it is you did in that game. The same way, like if I was to go play an Assassin's Creed game where you're able to go and kill civilians that have nothing to do with what it is your objective is, not that you feel bad because it's a character in a video game, but you still did that thing. Right?
Right.
You still killed the random person for no reason.
Yeah, and there's like RPGs that will like let you become more on like a darker or light side depending on your actions like that. Right. And I think it's an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
All right. We're over here. Let's go for another break, and then I think we got some more alien stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I think we'll finish off with this interview with an alien.
All right. This is TJ McNulty moment.
Couple of years, and can we take a moment to realize that you and I are just a phase in a series through our lives? 'Cause you'll change and I'll be that one who gets to love you while it lasts and gets the privilege to see the days go by and these feelings grow apart. We'll say goodbye to the emotions in our heart. We'll gather wisdom and maybe we will see that we were too young to read love, and this wasn't meant to be.
Welcome back to the Alien Interview Podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, let's jump to this. So I found a YouTube channel And initially I was
or do we want to do these first? Because you've had these on the list too.
I think we'll save that for another one. I think it might
Okay.
be good for a different podcast. Maybe we can tie in some more stuff with that. But this is and that was the AMA interview with Gary Nolan and Hal Puthoff and Dr. Jim Segala and stuff. But I think we're going to jump to this interview with an alien that I found. And this is supposedly part of this Project Blue Book disclosure that happened back in the day, back in the 60s or 70s or whatever it was.
I don't think this stuff came out back then, though, because Project Blue Book was all about debunking this stuff. So this...
But that doesn't mean the research wasn't done.
No. The research was done back then, but I don't think the leaking of it came out back then.
Right.
Anyway, the splash screen here has me interested. It says Project Blue Book, project number 220675 on June 9th, 1964. Majestic 12 SO, EBE 3 I2. So EBE is usually extraterrestrial biological entity.
Yeah, they call them the Ebens.
Yeah, EBE 3 might denote like the third
The
one.
number of them.
Yeah.
So this is a 4-part interview, and they're only a few minutes at each. But after each one, we'll probably do a little bit of talking about each one of them.
Yeah. So
But
I've heard
I think
people
this
talk
will probably
about.
finish off our podcast here tonight. But
I've heard people talk about this probably not being real because everyone talks about how the entities seem to always communicate telepathically for the most part.
So this is basically an interview where you actually hear the entity in question being interviewed, and they move their mouth and they speak English, right? But you know, whether it's real or not, and I'm not saying it's real, just by playing this doesn't mean that I subscribe to it being real.
Right.
I just am curious because
it's
the type
same
of
idea
information,
of
the
us
information
covering
that
the
you,
Lacerda files.
Exactly.
You don't have to think it's real to be able to like learn something from it.
Exactly. And I think the information you learn from it is credible in a sense of like allowing yourself to like go to a place where this may be real, right?
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see what this is like.
Let's start the first one here.
All right, part 1.
Okay, we're recording. State planet origin? Okay, yesterday you told us you traveled, and I quote, thousands of light years to get here. Yes. Tell us the truth, or the word, or another way to hear it. It is truth.
Oh, interesting. Okay. The quality of the audio here is interesting. This isn't straight up microphone stuff. I wonder if they're doing some sort of weird weird way of like transcribing like a telepathic communication.
That's possible. Yeah.
Because I don't actually see
Later
his
on,
mouth
you
moving.
you see the mouth moving more.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Later on, you get a bit
But the
of
quality of the
better
audio.
view.
So I'll just say, if you're listening to this on one of our podcatchers, because of how unintelligible this audio is, you may get more from it to watch the YouTube or Rumble.
Right.
So that you can see the video along with us and read the subtitles of what is being said, because this would be hard to take in just audio alone.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, hop over there. All right, you're back. Let's go.
So I take it aliens took over our future, right? So you're human. Okay, so you evolved from us. So what are you doing here now? How? Okay, so how about we concentrate on your time? Try me.
So-called life.
Wait, so you know the meaning of life? What's the difference? So you know how the universe is created? So you think God? Okay, illuminate us. What happens when we die? Okay, so let me get this straight. There's no death, and we all experience each other's lives, right? Okay, so how was the universe created, and why is it so perfectly made for us? Moving on. Okay, so why do we destroy ourselves with nuclear war? Can you be more specific, please? Okay, one last thing. What about morality? What are you basing your morality on? I see. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Pretty interesting. Huh. Gotta say, DMT corroborates what he's saying with we all experience each other's lives.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And I had this same sneaky suspicion. Like, we've talked about this idea too, like multiple, like being the one, like, right? Like the idea of, like, I don't know the term for it, but we had talked about it before. The idea that we all are one. We all are God. We all are experiencing everything all at once. And the timeline, this linear timeline that we think exists, is really just a cyclical thing that happens all the time. And it's always happening. And we, as conscious beings, are tapping into singular moments, singular instances of this cyclical timeline. So God, quote unquote, is this being or understanding or, you know, whatever you may ascribe to it, is just playing, and it's experiencing all that this physical world has to offer all at once, and we are all just moments of it. So where, like me, if I was to die, does not just go away and come back as somebody else necessarily, but God or this singularity, this, you know, this oneness is experiencing all the things at once, all the time.
Yeah.
So we, in essence, like he said, right, we are all experiencing this all, you know, we are all experiencing each other's lives. But that doesn't mean that Drew Glover is experiencing every single experience all at once. It means that the essence of what I am is experiencing all of these things. Not that I specifically am going through life or the timelines and picking and choosing what it is that I want to experience.
And again, without going through my whole experience, there was like an interesting insight I had during my experience where I realized that what we call the physical universe, this particular physical universe that we're here in, is like a slice of God, right? And only in the slicing of that and creating it as its own sort of simulation, for lack of a better term,
Distinct, like difference, like different time.
That's what
mode.
creates the illusion of time.
Separation.
That's what creates the illusion of separation.
Yeah.
And that even what we refer to as like heaven and hell and like the sort of spiritual reality that a lot of people report, where you interact with angels and whatnot, like that is essentially like the spiritual aspect of our physical reality. And they are interconnected, and it's not necessarily all that much closer to the root source, but it's it's the spiritual other side of the coin to our physical existence. And so it's there to serve our physical existence in a way. But
yeah, so it's another step down the road, but not necessarily distinctly different from what we are experiencing here.
Right.
Yeah.
It allows for like continuity after death. Like time still exists there in a way.
Might be
operate
different
under different functions, but under different rules. But we want to do part 2, or you want to go check on the babes there?
I'm gonna go check on the babes. I'll be
All
right back.
We'll be right back in a sec. I'll just pop in our next music break here. This is Stevie Nader, Speculate.
I feel it like a child again. The intuition of a fool sent out into the wild. Pretend that I know what to do. Oh Lord, oh my, I can't describe. Oh Lord, oh my, I can't describe the feel. I don't speculate, I don't speculate, I don't speculate you. I don't speculate, I don't speculate, I don't speculate you. Forever in my mind suspend the memory I made of you. Undoubtedly I try again, like I knew it was you. Oh Lord, oh my, I can't describe. Oh Lord, oh my, I can't describe the feel. I don't speculate, it's you I know. I don't speculate, I don't speculate, I don't speculate you. I don't speculate, I don't speculate, I don't speculate you. I don't speculate, I don't speculate, I don't speculate you. I don't speculate, I don't speculate, I don't speculate you.
Welcome back.
All right. The babes are settled.
And let's hop into part 2. Let's not waste any time then.
Yeah.
Hey, Speak. Orchard Wild, are you scared of me? Because you should be. Okay, so you say you're from the future and an evolutionary descendant of humans. You also say you're a different species. So, which one is it? Are you a descendant of humans or not? Then how do you know English? Answer me. If you don't answer, I'll administer another round of scopolamine until your system collapses. Do you understand? Now, how do you speak English?
The fuck is that? If you don't answer, I'll administer another round of scopolamine? What the hell is scopolamine? Scopolamine, also known as hyoscine or devil's breath, is a natural or synthetically produced tropane alkaloid and anticholinergic drug that is used as a medication to treat motion sickness and post-operative nausea and vomiting. Sometimes used before surgery to decrease saliva. When used by injection, effects begin after about 20 minutes. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going.
So you just picked up English, just like that. Because you're so smart, right? Right. So, you said you know the origin of the universe, but you did not provide an explanation. So I ask you again, how was the universe created? Answer the question. Really? But you can't create something out of nothing. So there it is. Only a creator can make something from nothing. Wait, you just contradicted yourself. So, since nothing cannot exist, what is left is existence. Existence is infinite. There is no end, no beginning, and therefore no end. Wait, but you said there is an origin to the universe. Yes. There it is. I caught you in a lie. This universe Right, so now you're talking nonsense. Again, how was the universe created so miraculously? This universe is a spontaneous event. Within the entirety of existence. Every event can, will, and has happened. And in this universe, there are an infinite number of universes, virtually all carrying over so-called life. This universe is, by chance, stable, and has the occasional capacity to harbor so-called life. So life just happened, right? In this universe, yes, life is called its inevitable consequence of this universe's physical properties. So are you telling me we're just random? Yes. This universe is indifferent to so-called life. How so? Life on this and every world can be destroyed at any time by a multitude of random events. Such as? What shall we call supernova, solar flare, asteroid impact? So the universe doesn't care if we live or die? Correct. I don't believe that for a second. We're more than just random. As I said, you are not capable of accepting the truths of existence. So, if we're just random, then there's no meaning to the universe. That is correct. So if there's no meaning in the universe, then what's the point of living? There is meaning. You just contradicted yourself again. No. You can't live a full life. You can't live a life at all. Do you think that meaning is somehow made up? Your species offers meaning. But operates under the false belief that meaning is a mystical God. It is not. So, what is meaning? Meaning is what you make it. Okay, moving on. You said we humans would die as a species. So, tell me, when does the nuclear war start?
When does the nuclear war start? Wow, that got very existential and dark there for a bit about the origin of the universe.
Yeah. And the meaning of life and how we ascribe the meaning of life
Right.
in ourselves and in our minds. Which is true. Because how can you can't put on other things the meaning of your life. The meaning of your individual life is only meaningful to you in your existence. It's just a fact. If you don't see it, then I don't know what to tell you, but it is true, right? That you are the only one who can ascribe what it is that life means to you. That just seems...
Yeah. Well, like the protoplanet that hit old Earth and spit out the moon, if that's how the moon was created, like, what is the meaning of that event, right? Like, from a human perspective, the meaning of that event is to
balance
far in the future, stabilize the seasons and the tides of the earth and create motion and cycles that will aid life
as it grows and adapts.
If you don't subscribe to any sort of like spiritual side of things, right? Like, if you're just following like natural law and physics,
There's no meaning.
There's no meaning to a body hitting another body. Like, it's just physics. It just happened to turn out to have the effect it did, but that is ascribed meaning later on by us who were enabled by the event.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Let's go to part 3 here.
All right, part 3.
Starts getting more existential.
Yes, give me an existential crisis, please.
So, tell me, when does the nuclear war start? It is not our place to try to destroy. Run. Now. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so, now, when does the nuclear war start?
Hang on, I want to go back to one of those flash frames.
Get a still image of it.
Yeah.
Run. Now.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
There you go.
Interesting.
He's got teeth.
You know, if this is fake, it's a pretty well done fake. Like, there's a lot of like detailed movement.
Facial features.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty well done as far as like putting together all of the parts and pieces of all of the different myths and legends of what a gray may look like.
Yeah.
With the
Dude,
nose,
Hollywood,
but no nose.
if this is not real, Hollywood's fucking up. Because, like, give me more of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Okay, so, now, when does the nuclear war start?
Okay.
By whom? Really?
Boss.
How?
Interesting. So does he do like that?
Oh, well, great. So just tell me his name and we'll go. Of course.
All right, so just tell me what he does.
So,
Don't blow up.
only a million lives. Okay, so how do we stop this? So, if we stop this lunatic from blowing us up, we'll be fine, right? Wait, but you just said that if we stop him, we won't be destroyed. And what would...
This is super dramatic. Like,
Yeah, no.
it comes off fake just because of how like perfect all these cuts are.
Yeah.
But man, it's well done.
I will say before we get into the last part here that if you go in and investigate the YouTube video or YouTube channel that hosts all of these videos, they do a lot of CGI videos. So they do a lot of CGI videos. They do a lot of like CGI like similar type stuff, and you can kind of see the evolution. But still, this is their best.
That's good stuff.
This is their best of
good
all
stuff.
of the videos they have. And all of these videos are years between each other.
Yeah.
Like the first one was posted like 10 years ago. The next one was like 8 years ago. The
really?
third part is like 6 years ago. Like it's like years apart that each of these were posted.
Huh.
So it's interesting. And the last one, this most recent part was probably like a year or two ago, I think, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. Are we watching it from the Origin channel, the many things? This is where, like,
This
the
is
first
where
post it?
I don't know if this is where it was initially posted, but this is where it's hosted. So, and you can see all the other videos from which it was. Like you can see a lot. If you go to the Many Things YouTube video, you can see a lot of our YouTube channel. You can see a lot of other like CGI type, videos being posted. But that still doesn't take from in my opinion, doesn't take necessarily from the content of it.
I vibe with this YouTube comment. This is by far one of the most interesting things on YouTube out there, and I'd watch a movie made on these clips.
Absolutely.
On cinema.
Absolutely.
And not wait for the bootleg.
The bootleg, yeah.
Yeah, political and religious dogma.
I mean, that's the downfall of society right there.
Yeah, I mean,
we all know that.
The ability to explore ideas without becoming dogmatic about them is, I think, a skill more people need. And I hope that's what we're exuding here on this channel. So I hope you can join us in our non-dogmatic exploration of part 4. Let's go.
How much time does it have?
He's very weak, sir.
How much time?
10 minutes, maybe.
Good. Another shot.
Sir, it might kill him.
Now.
Yes, sir.
Where were we?
He warned of another threat, sir.
We'll get to that. Speaking of time, do you know what this is? It's a first edition self-winding mechanism, perpetual rotor. One of the most intricate and exquisite creations of man. Something so complex needs a creator, wouldn't you say? Now, explain to me how another complex mechanism, me, can exist without a creator. Explain! Let's go again! There. Now, tell me how I can exist without a creator. Well, that's not exactly an answer. there's more planets like ours. Trillions. Huh. Okay, so if other planets don't have life, why, miraculously, does ours? Not miraculous. Statistical. Legal code. Explain. There are trillions of instances where so-called life could have emerged on this planet, but did not. Was that before or after God created Earth and sky? Just go on. Then, a chess molecular combination subdivided before it died. It left an inexact copy. This was the beginning of what eventually became so-called life on this planet. So that's it. What made this molecular combination so special? Two features. Duplication and mutation. Really? Weak mutations. Died. The strong mutations lived, thrived, thus strengthening the bias to propagate. You don't say. Color. The microbes that increased in complexity. Flourished. You're a descendant of God's chance. Molecular combination. If that event had not happened, so-called life would not have emerged. Simple. Simple.
Sir, he doesn't have much time.
All right, okay, finally, tell me, what is this other threat? Artificial superintelligence.
Sir, I think he said artificial superintelligence.
I know what it said. Now shut up. So what the hell does that mean? Artificial intelligence. That is superior to human intelligence. Well, that's impossible. Inevitable.
Think about it, sir. I mean, the world's computer were tested in the last shutdown. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this artificial superintelligence is a computer. I swear, if you say I don't have the capacity to comprehend one more time, I'll drill a 9mm through that mutant skull of yours. Again, is it a computer? Thousands collected. And you're saying they're as smart as people? No. Hey, you just said... Or smarter. Many orders of magnitude. Therefore... Hey, wake up. Wake up. Okay, so I'll play along. How is this superintelligence a threat? It will end your species as an almost ended. Why? How? 2 ways. In parallel. Nostradamus, what's the first way? Propaganda. Artificial Last question. Can we stop this superintelligence? How? Again, how? Okay. That's it. Fine. I need to put you on one this way. Alright. Time to meet God.
Dang, bro.
Yeah. Made it seem like he got away. They're searching for him now.
No, it looks like they're on a stretcher, and this is the alien, like just over the shoulder.
Maybe.
Like someone's helping him out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Shots fired. Aim in position.
So that's an interesting one. So he's saying either we kill ourselves with nukes or we kill ourselves with artificial intelligence, which either turns us all against each other through the use of the internet or helps us to create a simulation where we would all rather be until our population collapses.
All right.
And the only way to stop it is by having global consensus to limit the power of the AI, which will never happen.
No, not global.
It's interesting.
Which would happen, which would actually spark more conflict if one country has a consensus to integrate AI into its government, because then it becomes powerful, and then it becomes a problem because other countries have nukes and are willing to launch them against such a power. Right?
Yeah. Huh. Well, thank you, tortured alien, for giving us a piece
Some
of the
food for
future.
thought. Yeah.
It seemed too theatrical at the end there
Yeah.
for my judgment to come off as like real, but super intriguing and like fantastic effects like that. If that's CGI, like it's really well done.
Pretty good.
Really well done.
Well, and the message too early on in the first two parts, right? The idea, like we even talked about early on in the episode too, like the idea that we are more than what we are, right? And that there's a connection to this to this divine, in a sense, that connects us all.
Yeah, I mean, the alien
Yeah.
seemed to be of the futuristic advanced version of materialism.
Right.
He didn't seem to
Where
be...
it got to a point where it was futuristic, yeah.
Although he was saying that death is not real.
Construct.
Yeah, it's a
construct
human
of
construct.
Humanity.
Which means it has some sort of understanding of what's beyond that.
Yep.
But it still thinks that like life is totally an
essential.
accident.
But it's also essential to the...
But he thinks it's an accident, like it came across. It just happened to. just based on the universe we happen to be in. So it's like we're on like a many worlds interpretation.
Right. Which could be true too, right? It's like if you ascribe to the idea of like God just spreading whatever it is, right? And it just naturally takes up root in certain systems or certain universes that take up life, physical life.
Yeah.
And that, quote unquote, God is experiencing itself through these iterations of so-called life. Doesn't mean that it's a constructed thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a fully constructed thing. It just means that it's happening.
Right.
That doesn't mean that it's like consciously constructed.
Right.
In such a way. But that it is an some sort of instance of the creation or God or oneness that is experiencing itself through the physical nature of life.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that is all that there is to experience. Or that it's happening other places. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't naturally mean that.
I'd like to think that whoever would be in charge of an alien interrogation wouldn't be so close-minded as the questioners also.
Yeah, I think this is back in the 60s, though.
Yeah, I know, but
at least if you were to, assume that this was correct.
Yeah.
Or real.
Yeah.
So back then, I could see it being pretty hostile.
Yeah.
Especially because it's maybe so-called the first
instance. And there is all the rumors of the Collins elite, the super Christian sect within the government that has been involved in the UFO.
Yeah, based on the interrogation
legacy program.
Yeah. Like it was like very ascribing to like the dogmatic religious faith.
Right. There was heavy-handed alliteration to that sort of stuff in there.
For sure. I mean, it's all fascinating, and none of this is to be taken as gospel. Obviously,
of course.
For the listeners, obviously, we're, you can be rest assured that we're not just assuming this is real, but it's very good food for thought, and I think it's a good thought exercise, and I think it was very fascinating to just hear and watch because it's very well done either way.
Yeah.
Either way you see it.
It was a good one. All right. Yeah. No, I enjoyed that. Well, thanks for sharing it.
For sure.
And want to know what you guys think about it.
Please let us know.
I mean, I think the effects were sick.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the way that they did those like moments where they were like electrocuting him or shooting him up with some sort of chemical or whatever it is that they were doing.
Yeah, well, that's part of why I called it so like Hollywood, right?
Yeah,
like theatric, because like even if you're electrocuting someone, like it doesn't take flashing lights to electrocute someone, right? Like it just takes two wires and a current.
Sure.
It wouldn't cause flashing the lights in the room to do that.
Yeah, I mean, unless you were a low-powered facility and you were pulling power from the facility and it was flashing the lights because of that.
Yeah.
I can see that, but still very theatrical, for sure. But yeah, please let us know what you think, and we appreciate you guys listening, getting to this point. And if you have anything you guys want to, talk to us about or follow the footsteps of our favorite subscriber, Greg,
send us a message.
Send us a message on YouTube or Rumble or any of these podcast platforms.
You can leave a comment on Spotify, and you can leave us a review on Apple iTunes. That would help us.
Or you can email us directly at host@dualitycheck.net. We check that outside of our normal Russian
Russian spam that we get. I
we still check.
Monitor
we still check. So yeah, please hit us up on Instagram, Facebook. We post our episodes going live on those platforms. If you have any other information you guys want to get across to us, please let us know. We were interested in getting involved and getting you involved in the community here. So appreciate y'all listening.
And we'll see you next week for episode 59, where maybe we'll talk about some DMT. Maybe we'll finish up the Lacerda files. We'll see.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, y'all.
See you
See
later.
you soon. Bye.
Later.